Hello and welcome to Small Biz Central, the show that provides you with the tools you need to run a small business. I'm Tim Burnero, and on this episode we're going to discuss people management. First up, let's meet our panel. Don Wright, of course, who's with the University of Western Sydney. G'day, Don.
G'day, Tim.
Samea Maakrun, Managing Director of Sasy and Savy. Welcome, Samea.
Thank you, Tim.
I should say welcome back, of course.
Thank you.
And Frank Webb from Business Clarity.
G'day, Tim.
G'day, Frank. You well?
Fantastic.
All right, guys, are you ready to meet our first business?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's take it away.
G'day, I'm David Jones. I've got a company called David Jones Electricians. Originally I started off as David Jones the electrician. I did an apprenticeship straight out of school. I started my own business in an old Valiant station wagon in about 1989. Got busy and thought, well, I'll put another electrician on and he can use that station wagon, and then gradually just built up, got rid of the station wagon, just built up electricians one van at a time. I've got 7 vans at the moment, 10 electricians and apprentices and 2 full-time office staff. When I left school, it was more about, IT, and it was, being in a trade was sort of not looked down upon, but, it wasn't like you'd done a university degree. And I think my mother used to take great delight if she read anything in the paper that, electricians and plumbers were now earning more than doctors. Predominantly, the work David Jones Electrician gets is it's varied. We do a lot of real estate repairs. We do a lot of homeowner jobs, small repairs, and we do a lot of construction and some commercial work in the city, office fit-outs and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think my niche was pretty much self-carved by the fact that I was a perfectionist and I wasn't always the quickest and the cheapest. I wasn't a quick fix, but I was quite happy with that and still am, and that's the way I want us to be. People don't usually want to take risks with safety, and they don't want a quick fix. There was always this system where you could have one safety switch protecting the whole house, and one problem would black the whole house out. I was always in favour of one safety switch per circuit, and now that's what everybody's doing. Our tagline, "You're in safe hands," was actually given to me basically in a letter. A leading Sydney QC that we did some work for probably about 15 years ago sent me a cheque, and with a little note thanking me for the work. He'd actually got rid of somebody that he wasn't happy with, and he'd written, "It's nice to be in safe hands." Finance can be a problem when you're growing your business, and if you grow too quickly, there's a formula that can basically send you bust. So you've got to have steps in place. I've got a business coach, and we discuss things in detail and keep an eye on things. The last couple of years, when I poured time and money into the branding of it, was to put systems in place so that I could, it could run itself, so I could basically have a decent holiday and know that it was just going to churn over, and also allow me to get back into doing some property developing and some of the things I also enjoy. I also enjoy the electrical business, but building is also a passion.
David's down there in Newtown. He's got so much enthusiasm, and his emphasis on quality really has served him well.
That's the thing that's really built his business, is his passion, and being able to bring the crew on and bring people in with that same passion, inculcate that, fantastic.
I wonder, Don, whether he's transitioning so that he's working on the business and not in it, which we know is a bit of a pitfall in this growing stage.
Well, I think he's created that opportunity because, as he said, he's put systems in place so that the business can almost run itself. So I think he's put a lot of effort into working on the business. And I like the fact he's carved out a niche.
Yes.
He's found that he's a quality electrician, and he's put that through his people, as you said, and he's really built his brand around that. So I think that's a great strategy for him.
And that's great, just putting those systems in place too.
But he's also listened to his customers because he's diversified in so many areas, still in the same industry. So he's worked out ways on how to basically capitalise on his existing structure, but basically create more revenue income for himself. So he's quite, he's quite a business savvy person, I reckon. Very good company.
The outfit looks great. They're all wearing the same gear. They meet every Friday, of course. They're all in the same vans, like with the fantastic branding. And he's also got his builder's licence, as he mentioned, which means he's able to do his own kind of development stuff. Are there any pitfalls in kind of running two businesses in tandem like that, Frank?
One of the real challenges is managing your cash flow. because you've got two businesses operating, as you say, in tandem. One has a particular cash flow or cash flow pattern, and the other one draws cash in and will take a lot of cash out of your business. So you've got to keep them separate and manage on a project basis. One's a project basis, one's a job basis. And it's two different things. You watch it very closely.
Two very different requirements.
Yeah,
Project-based
very
businesses are really difficult to manage from a cash flow point of view.
I think he'd be all right. I think he's quite business savvy. He knows what he's doing. He's got a proper business plan, a marketing plan, a business coach. He's got systems and procedures and all that. I think he'd actually be all right setting up his construction business.
I like the fact, I felt like that business had a culture. He builds it around excellence, and it looks like he's infused that in his people.
And having the regular meetings, that's an opportunity to really build that and get that team feeling happening. It's great, just keep building on that and pulling the team together.
And he focuses us constantly on quality. Now that's fantastic. I mean, how many of us basically want a tradesperson that cares about the work that we're being given?
Absolutely.
So, and you know, quality in construction or electrical and all that sort of stuff. So I think he's got a unique selling point there.
And when people in the trade, particularly in the electrical trade, compete on price, they just chase each other to the bottom. And that's like all you're doing there is you're just sending yourself broke. If they can, occupy a space, get very clear about their niche and get out there and service it and provide really good service, the world's their oyster, because what people want is they want good quality work. They don't want to have to go back and have...
It's about promoting the right way so people understand that niche. He's got a unique selling proposition. He drives it home.
Yeah.
And really getting that unique proposition, that unique selling proposition is carried it right through the whole team. They all present it every time they interact. It's ABS, always be selling. And that's what those guys are doing when the trucks are out on the road, when the guys get out of the trucks, when they knock on the door, when they come into the house. All the time they're presenting your business. So your sales force is your team.
And he does jobs well, and I think that means you don't have to advertise because you get that word of mouth. And he's so proud of his business. That Valiant station wagon, the steering wheel is nailed to the wall in his new premises there. It looks, exactly. It looks fantastic. All right, he's got a question for you guys, so let's see what he has to say.
Well, I've been grappling with two questions for the panel. One is about staff and how do I find more great staff? Because I don't have a great deal of success with advertising in the papers or on the online. And the good electricians, we are in a shortage of good qualified electricians, and the good ones are probably working and not looking for jobs. And the other question I have would relate to software, extra software packages. I'm not talking about accounting packages, but managing scheduling and keeping an eye on where I'm profitable and where I'm not profitable, that sort of thing. I've recently did put in a software package that was adapted from something. There's not a great deal of stuff out there for the trades or even the electrical trade. And this thing actually couldn't deal with the cost of the materials. It was basically made for selling time. So when is the right time to put in a software package, and how do I find the software package that's good for me and right for me? Because I'm not an accountant. I really need a bit of advice in that area.
Well, guys, there is a skill shortage. We know that a lot of Sparkies are going to Western Australia, to those remote mines where they can earn big money. What can David do to get and retain good staff? Is it just a matter of offering more money, or is it about offering flexibility, getting that work-life balance right with his workers? Or is it simply that he needs to offer them a career path and maybe skill them up in bookkeeping or other management, kind of skills that are going to serve them well, perhaps if they want to go off into their own business later?
I think a bit of each actually, Tim, but I also think the way the job ad is actually written, which is quite important, and where he's basically advertising the job ads as well. But part and parcel, everyone wants a good income, flexibility, and all those sorts of benefits, and job security and training as well. So it just depends, on all those sorts of criterias.
Don?
I think absolutely got to make your advertising effective, get a good balance of offline and online advertising, and maybe work with someone, a professional, if he's not having much luck, to get it working better for him.
So it can be a matter of just putting some money, putting some cash in the can, and actually, if you want quality, going out and paying a recruiter? Is that what you're talking about?
I think that's part of it, but also working the networks, those tradie networks, business chambers, all those sorts of access points where he could be out there talking to people, promoting the fact that he's a great business to work for, I think is really important.
Frank, is there any sense in, going to the local training schools, TAFEs, becoming a guest lecturer, and therefore meeting the up-and-coming, maybe making some proteges?
No, that's a great point. And one of the things now with tradies, when they finish their time, particular electricians, they just do their capstone and they're back out on the road. Now they've got to do 100 hours CPD, and they need people to deliver that, guys who are actually in business. And I think too with tradies, the thing is to get them before they've learnt bad habits, and it's about attracting the best and retaining them. And then within your organisation, train and retain. And career path, great idea. A lot of people get frustrated. They say, I train these guys and they go and leave and go into competition for me. And that's a big frustration for tradies, particularly electricians, because a young electrician can go and do jobs on the weekend and make a few bob and come back. And he says, I can set this up and run my own. But he's got to realise that there's a lot of things involved in running a business, and the more you involve your guys, the more they understand and they start to appreciate. It's actually better here than to go out and actually start my own and go out in competition with my boss.
It sounds like in those circumstances, you're doing your job well when you're training them up so well that they're able to go and do their own thing.
Yeah, and it's being able to give them the opportunity to grow, give them the opportunity.
To train up your staff, trust them,
Yeah.
And also retain the ones you've got.
Yes.
Your second question was about putting in new software and those sorts of systems. Now, this is a bugbear for so many businesses.
I've been through several implementations of enterprise resource planning systems, and I think the big thing is to try and test the system before you jump in. Like you said, he got involved in a system that didn't work for him.
It wasn't
That's
for
right.
his industry.
Yeah. So I think if the last thing you want to do is make a big investment, move your whole business into a system that doesn't work for you. That's a disaster. You want to avoid.
I think, Don, before you even test the system, is understand his requirements. What does he want to get out of the software? Is it costing? Is it CRM? What is it? And basically listing all the requirements, and then from there doing the research of what software packages are available on the market, and then basically do the testing. So I'd basically attack it in that way. Yeah.
Getting that spec really clear, and the thing is too, when do you do it? It's a case of when do you plant a tree? The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The best time to do it is at the start of your business, but that's never the right time. So it's a case of how do you get that happening? You need to really get really clear about what you want out of the system, as you're saying. Very good point. Then go out there with your spec list and put it in front of people. And he might even have to have his own system written. And I've had clients who've done that and have written very, very effective systems.
It's worth those extra dollars?
Yes, and in actual fact, you can build a system there that actually becomes a saleable product. That can be a fantastic avenue because you can build it based on your experiences, because your experiences are very transferable to other businesses.
Okay, and of course if it doesn't work, Samea, if you've got a document, can you say to the people who designed it, look, it doesn't work, we want our money back?
Oh, no, not necessarily, because I've already done the work for you. So being in a small business, from our perspective, I probably tend to take one off the shelf.
Yeah.
Only because trying to get one made is quite costly. Any changes you made, you're up for a few $100s per hour. So yeah, I probably, once I know my criteria, we just go directly to an IT person, say, look, do your research, and then we get all the software packages, and then we go through every single one, because you've got license fees involved every year, you've got upgrades and all that sort of stuff. So understanding the legalities of every software, and then basically narrowing down which one's going to be right for you, and then going through the testing phase. Is it going to basically tick off everything I require?
Don, of course, all this stuff's on our website, links to stuff to resources to help us with this sort of thing on smallbiz.com.au.
Go to smallbizcentral.com.au, and there's lots of resources there.
A couple of different websites, one of them built by University of Western Sydney, which is a fantastic institution. All right, it's time for a break. Welcome back. Now, guys, you ready to have a look at our second business?
Definitely.
Let's take a look at our next small business profile.
Hi, I'm John from Blue Mountains Ugg Boots. I run our factory down here in Penrith for a company, Blue Mountains Ugg Boots. We're currently at the moment manufacturing Ugg boots for about 10 to 12 years, and we've been a third generation family that's been selling Ugg boots since 1933, started by great-grandfather of the guy, Brian Iverson, that owns it and runs it at the moment. I started here as just working up at the retail shop. I just progressed into making the Ugg boots, and now I run the factory down here. It started as a little store up in Falconbridge, which still on its current location is our retail store. We've expanded since then and moved to a bigger premises, which is our factory down in Penrith. In Australia, Ugg boots have always been popular. People see them for what they are. They're a warm shoe, comfortable. At the end of the day, when your foot's tired of being in work boots or designer shoes all day, you come home, you slop on your Ugg boots. And because of the popularity from overseas, it's People have tried them because they're fashionable, and then they've come back a second time and a third time because they realise that these aren't just fashion items, that they are a comfortable boot. From kids, for babies, all the way up to really fancy sort of stuff with buttons and lace in that the girls like. We have many different customers worldwide and through Australia, into Denmark, China, Japan, all through Europe. Training staff for this specialised machinery can take up to 6 months, depending on the level of experience the machinist has when they come to us. If they start from scratch, it can take longer before they can give out a quality boot that we're happy with our standards to give off to a customer. And during that time, it takes one of our machinists their time to sit over their shoulder and watch. So we've got the downtime of not just the people training, but our machinists that will otherwise be doing her work. Yeah, the last time I conducted interviews, we had applicants from 20 to 30 different machinists who said they had various experience. And when I got them in, probably there was only two to three that I really wanted to call back for a second interview, as the others said they had sewing machine experience, but it was all flat, straight sewing and not the specialised stuff that we need for Ugg boots, which we need a fur machine operator. The Australian dollar, it's been very hard at the moment. Like a big market for us is just opened up, it's the Chinese market, and they trade in US dollars. And obviously when our dollar was sitting around 80 cents, I had orders flooding in. At the moment, I've still got a couple of orders sitting here that the customers have asked me to hold to see what the dollar's going to do at the moment, and that makes it hard on business when you're holding the overheads for that and you're waiting for the dollar to come down. It's making it a little tougher at the moment. At present, it's quite easy to find a skilled machinist overseas, but we'd like to keep the jobs locally within Australia.
Well, they're a fantastic Aussie brand and they're fantastic people up there. They had their little shop in Falconry Bridge for like 70 years. And then, 20 years ago, they've expanded. One of the sons of the original owners and his next door neighbour, John, who you saw, have expanded to this premise in South Penrith. What are your general impressions?
Yeah, look, it's great to see a great Aussie icon like that doing well, It's a shame that he's having to look to go overseas, and let's hope he doesn't have to do that. But I'd like to see what are his training processes and regimes. What could he be doing better in terms of his training to try and get people coming through his organisation?
And what can he do as far as systemisation? Are there processes and ways that he can do things that require less manual dexterity? And that can save a lot of effort. There's a lot of jigs that can be used. Now, maybe they use a lot, but if they've been relying purely on manual dexterity, then that can cause a problem. That can create real issues.
Of course, he's got a whole suite of issues there because, of course, he's exporting, which means he's got to deal in different currencies. I believe, Samea, you've encountered some of these issues and you've kind of cracked the whip.
Yeah, we've cracked the whip. We used to basically, when we first started, deal with quite a few different currencies, constantly suffering exchange losses on most of them, and dealing with so many different banks. We pulled it all back. We basically said we'll trade it only in Australian dollars. We had to basically go back to our distributors, our wholesalers, our end users, and let them know. At the end of the day, they'll come around because they basically want your product. So foreign currency exchange is a very large risk. Also, not only the foreign currency exchange, it's also the trademarking in the different countries that he's basically exporting his products to, is ensuring that he's covered not only in the English language but also in the foreign language to make sure Ugg Boots Australia is also written in Chinese or Mandarin or Cantonese, and registering that trademark as well to cover himself.
Of course, those cheeky Yanks or some company over there tried to take.
It's already happened to him already, the poor
yeah,
thing. That's legal costs would have been huge
Isn't
on
that
that.
terrible? Isn't that ridiculous?
So,
but you also do have a little trick where you actually insist. He talked about how he has had stock sitting in his shop waiting to go, but they don't send it, wait for the Aussie dollar to drop.
Yeah.
But you actually ask for money up front before you even manufacture your, body.
Absolutely. When we do get very large orders over a certain amount of money, we basically do request a 50% deposit. We go ahead and we do special runs for that customer, and before we actually ship out, we basically request 50% balance. Nothing does get shipped or leave our warehouse until it's all paid up front. And that covers all the admin and the overhead cost of finance department trying to trace the customer.
It's a different product too, because you do all that sort of beautiful high-end face cream, skincare and essential oils, and I doubt that would go very well sitting in the Aussie sun for months and months.
Yeah. In terms of his currency management though, I'd like to see him working with a professional or working with a financial partner that could help him map through those issues in terms of forex management.
And that FX exposure can be deadly in a business. The way the Aussie dollar's bounced around the place, we're very strong at the moment, and unfortunately that's just really just sounding the death knell for a lot of manufacturing.
Yeah, you can probably use the forward exchange contracts via the banks or FX, the Export Finance Insurance Corporations.
Yeah, lots of different facilities out there, but I think it's working with someone who can help him work his way through it rather than trying to manage it himself.
Yeah, and Jerry Harvey the other day was saying that it's the strength of the Aussie dollar is having a real impact on retailing in Australia. People are sourcing overseas, and so we really have to work really smarter in Australia, not harder. We've got to work smarter, and he needs to look at the systems that he's got in his place. Yeah. How's he doing things? Are there ways he can do things more efficiently and more effectively? And quite often, that's the thing, and it's the pressure like this that really actually
drives innovation and drives
innovation. Makes people improve their businesses
as much as anything.
Yeah, but manufacturing, it's hard. Do you know what I mean? The overhead cost and all that sort of stuff. So it's a challenge.
It's difficult when
it is a big challenge.
we've got an economy where you've got mining, which is doing so well and causing which causes problems ultimately for other sectors.
It draws people away from other sectors, and people go away from manufacturing off to mining. That means that we need people here, and manufacturing organisations find it more difficult to find people because they get more expensive. Cost structures go up. So it's a real challenge. So you really have to look at efficiency.
Okay, now you guys don't get away that easy because we've got a question from John.
My question to the panel is, what assistance is available to small businesses to help offset our wage costs while we're training our new workers? I'd rather keep our jobs within Australia and not look overseas for a qualified machinist, which are available overseas to bring one in.
He's doing the right thing. He wants to employ Australians. He's trying so hard. I mean, I suppose before we start talking about some of the grants and some of the other issues, are we sure that the people who are leaving his business or any business are leaving?
That's right. What are the reasons?
Yeah, because we know that 80% of people leave businesses for reasons other than money. So exit interviews become really important. I think Deloitte does something like that.
Yeah, Deloitte do exit interviews, and large organisations do. And one of the things that small business needs to do is to look around at, what are the big guys doing? What are they doing that really works? Because they're spending a lot of money developing these systems. And do your market research. Grab these ideas, do exit interviews. Why has this person left? Each person you employ costs a lot of money. You've got to replace that person. You're looking for half a year's salary before they're really up to speed. That's a lot of money to spend, and you've got to be really careful.
You don't have to wait till they go as well. You can be doing that.
That's right.
Assessing how happy they are and if there's any
that's
issues
right.
as you
And
go
do that
along.
process as you're going along, and hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah.
If you're going to hire someone, make sure they're the right person before you put them on. Very difficult, but have a process of screening.
And have a discussion where you sort of are working through where the person's up to, and if it's not working, be able to say, look, we've had meetings every 2 weeks.
Lay down expectations and have an induction process.
Yeah, we have performance reviews every quarter, and then salary reviews on a yearly basis as well. And that salary bonus or review ties back into the performance reviews. So we have key performance indicators whereby each basically candidate within our office is analysed according to different skills.
But hold on, surely the government can give him a grant if it takes him 6 months to train up a machinist?
There's lots of support out there for small business from government, but you've got to understand the sorts of things that they'll give you the assistance for. It might be for an apprentice.
Won't be for that?
Well, possibly, but it could be for an apprentice, it could be putting on someone with a disability, it could be a long-term unemployed person or a traineeship, but there's got to be a benefit beyond your company for the industry or the economy.
So he's probably not going to get money for that, but he might be able to, once he starts looking into grants, get something for some R&D
maybe
or for
he
some
needs some
export help.
apprentices. Or,
Export market
grants.
development grant, that comes in quite handy.
could be
That
really
allowed
useful
us
for
to
him.
basically grow our company in such a short period of time because we got support from the government in regards to the export market development grants. So a lot of our international marketing costs were funded by the government, which allowed us to grow, I think, at quite a fast rate. Yeah.
So basically he might not be able to get grants for this, but he needs to make contact with...
I think if he could work with someone like at the Department of Industry and Investment, New South Wales Government, they'll send a business development manager out who'll sit down and talk with him and go through the process of what assistance is available and how he accesses it.
There's also opportunities through the organisations like Enterprise Connect for larger small businesses. They've got certain criteria to meet, but they will give you an industry expert to come and help you. They'll write a plan on your business, and there's an opportunity to make that investment afterwards if you want to make those improvements. And that can have someone cast an eye over your business that can really make a fantastic difference.
You've also got the clothing associations, the footwear, clothing and textile associations and different other industry boards that he can basically approach in regards to grant funding, also prizes and different competitions that they basically have as well.
Okay, but hold on. Maybe he's being unrealistic. Maybe he needs to find someone from overseas. I mean, is that easy to just bring someone over? Do you just say, jump on the plane?
Sponsorship costs are quite high, basically, at the end of the day. It's always best to try, obviously, hire someone in Australia, getting an apprenticeship or a traineeship and grooming them within the company the way that you want them.
And the process requires that you justify why you're bringing that person out here and why you can't find that someone locally. And that's a difficult process because we're not looking for really highly skilled people here. It's taxing work and it's hard work, but it's not meaning. It's pretty mean. It's not difficult work. It's not highly skilled work. So you should be able to train someone for it, and that comes down to looking at his training methods. What are his training methods like, and how's he teaching people? Does he have manuals that they can go through? And I think many people that would be working in this game probably wouldn't have terribly good English, so they need to be photographs and manuals that they can flick through an album. This is the way it's done, right? So they can see and they can quality test their own work as they're going along.
Well, guys, you've been fantastic. So thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Small Biz Central. Let's summarise what we've talked about. Providing staff with structured training improves work quality and helps you retain personnel. And by properly documenting systems and procedures, you'll make training more efficient. Make your advertising effective and take the time to select the right people for your business. Involve staff in the business. Weekly meetings and being flexible with work hours means you have a happy, loyal and motivated team. Communicate with your staff. Inductions, regular performance reviews and exit interviews make staff feel valued. And can we thank our two small businesses? They were fantastic and we wish them well. Of course, there's plenty more information about the issues we've raised on our website, www.smallbizcentral.com.au. That's it for now. Take care and see you next time.